man. Last
We're
time,
back. Starting with the low. No, sorry.
yeah, back last time we spoke about National Poetry Slam bouts that we had in Albuquerque.
This is very
So
subtle.
we thought it fitting to give an example of a bout in which we came in what dead last, right? This was
Yes. Oh my
this was
Lord.
this was the following year, in
Rip.
2006. So this uh document was from the Berkeley Bob.
A document.
So we got to break down the Berkeley Bob, right? So the Berkeley Bob is
It's
it's
pretty
like
important.
it's like a Hollywood premiere almost. Back
Yes.
in 2004, we treated it like a Hollywood
It's
premiere, and
it's canned.
we we all got dressed up very fancy, like we were old school gangsters, and walked into the Berkeley Bob looking fly as hell.
In
Um,
our defense, in our defense, now, because we got some shit for this later because people just like to fuck with me. But it was a tradition by the Berkeley team to dress as pirates for the Berkeley Bob.
mhm.
I always thought that was, I can say it, I always thought that was lame. And like, this is way before Pirates of the Caribbean. No one wants to dress like any pirate. Anyway, so I thought, dude, what if we dress as gangsters? And who had the guitar case we put in?
KT.
K, yeah, KT had the guitar case we put the poems in. So we
Oh yeah,
walked
yeah.
with uh,
The guitar.
dressed like this with a like with the guitar case we put on the table, and it was yeah the huge thing. And I think in '05 we just dressed nice. I was into like okay you had to wear a tie, and '06 the same thing. Even 2014 I'm like they're like why because we do. But this one it was thousands and who on our team back in 2006.
Um,
No,
yes,
right?
yeah. So but yeah, a word on dressing, right? So
Yeah.
a word on dressing and dress code, right? I think on
I,
Palo
I
Alto,
got shit for that too.
I think on Palo Alto, we ended up having a certain amount of flair and what's the word? Like fancy dress, right? Not super fancy, not like black tie or anything, but I always liked to, you
We
know,
look nice.
yeah, I always liked to, suggest. It wasn't really a suggestion when you were on the team. It was kind of like part of our vibe. It was like, typically got dressed like you were going on a nice date or something with someone you really
Yes. Yeah,
right.
exactly. You
Uh,
know, like
and I don't know. I feel like nowadays, the idea of a dress code is a
they
little
don't
lax.
care.
And I also think that, um, I mean, it's like, wear whatever you want. However, I do think, right, that anything, right, that could distract from what you're saying and your performance or
Exactly.
influence a judge, um, should be not part of the factor, right? I think you should come in a nice way and in a like dressed in a nice
Like
way,
going to church.
huh? Like you're going to church.
Like you're going to church.
Well, and that's and
But
it's not so much about policing people's appearance so much as it is like like the respect for the craft and the like being neutral, if that makes sense.
you know, I can say RAC.
Yeah, I can say RAC.
She had said once she didn't show her tattoos. She was already slaying for years,
Yeah.
and to the point where she was good enough that people didn't, right? but initially that's all they noticed. And
Hmm.
like, um, I was like, and I'm not sexist, but I was big on no cleavage.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, and I didn't like sleeveless things. And like, because I want my female being
Yeah.
as objects
Yeah.
to be heard. It's hard to
Yeah.
hear somebody looking, but for someone empowering,
Hmm.
I would not mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise, man, it's
Yeah.
it's so easy to do the poem we're going to talk about or about I got drunk and I had sex with somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's just like if you're a young judge who thinks this person's cute, you're going to score this person off. And the person kind of knows it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's I don't even go into it. So let's go into the
All right.
scores. Now,
Let's go. So round
this
one.
is the Berkeley Bob, the big one, the creme de la creme.
Berkeley Bob,
The
2006. It looks as though we drew the
yes.
A in this scenario, the dreaded A. Um, and so we sent up our, I don't know, Kim J. I always thought of her as like she could be like a sledgehammer or a shotgun at
Yeah,
times. Um,
exactly. You should
sh
have used her like the last round.
yeah, I feel like she would probably do best like as an anchor. Um, sh-
Oh, but think about it this way. I
mhm.
think also she was liked in Berkeley.
And I think that's why, we
Yeah.
probably put her up first was because
Out
she
of all the
was
people we
a
had.
popular poet in that area and very well liked. And to me, like a poet's poet, like great
Yeah.
writer, and a great performer too. Like I said, just like when she was on, like she was really, she would bring it, right?
You know?
But it could be a wild card. In this case, we see she's not scoring very high in that A slot. Although I
Yeah.
wrote, so just a little note here. This is all my writing. So I take full responsibility
Yeah.
for the unfiltered opinions that I had about some of these poems,
Yeah. She said unfiltered.
many of which I was potentially hearing for the first time because it's a Bob. And that's like where you test out stuff for gnats. So I think a lot of them were like visceral reactions to some of these. So that's why I think my comments are so raw and unfiltered because some of them I just really hit me in like
Yeah.
very like not nice place.
Bad
However,
places.
let's see. Kim got 6.8, 7.5, 8.1, 8.9, 9.5. So 24.5. She is well under time, which I should expect nothing less. Um, so said powerful. I wanted her mouth closer to the mic. Um, I think yeah, she tended to have a softer voice, so she needed to be closer to the mic. And as one soft voice to another, I can understand. Um, Lee, do you remember this Sacramento poem?
By remember the Supernova guy.
Oh wait, hold on. Hold on. Kim says not applicable for time. Maybe I wasn't timing that one. So never mind. Scratch that 242. That was for Sack, the following poet. But yeah, Supernova Revolution. Do you remember this one? Crowd walk,
Um
crowd walk,
yes.
all venue, walked crowd. I don't remember it. But this is something too, crowd walking, right? We haven't talked a lot about like performance styles, but crowd walking is something that can be done really effectively in a smaller venue, and be really
Exactly. Like
engaging if done well. And if you have a big voice to pull it off. So Sacramento scored very high,
Yeah, he was actually, remember, he
7.1.
was really good. This
Yeah.
was, you said what the, I can't see your comment.
Walked
Oh,
crowd, small venue.
yeah.
Yeah. 7.8, 8.9, 8.9, 9.3, 9.4, 27.
Um, yeah, dude, 77.1. Jesus. And Kim got a 6.0, 7.5, 8.1, 6.9,
Mhm.
9.5. Somebody was listening. Yeah, it was a butterfly one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
I remember it. That was one that she used often that year. I think like that was like her big poem that season.
I like the one about the guitar.
Oh yeah, that one's good too.
Mm, mm.
She's very cerebral, like her poetry. Okay, let's look. Oakland SF Unified, it looks like. Dale Save the Planet. Do you remember this poem?
Yes. Mm. And
Commentary.
then remember at the end where he talked about hemp saving things?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 235, 23.4. So big dip there. I wrote commentary next to it. So
Yeah,
comment.
conversation.
Mhm. Let's see. Modesto Bundy, who was on our team the
The
prior.
previous year.
This is Junkie, the poem there. 238, 24.8. And then I wrote, I'm proud of you, Bundy, next to it.
You
Um,
know,
which
wait, is
meant
that
that I
20?
probably
Is that
liked this.
wait?
24.8.
I thought that says 23.4.
I know, but you see the arrows. I
Oh,
was
okay,
writing
yeah.
straight. 23.4 was for Oakland SF. So he got a
Oh,
24.8, 8.0, 8 point, sorry, 6.9, 8.0, 8.4, 8.4, 8.5. I wrote, I'm proud of you, Bundy. I probably liked the performance because I remember working with him um, the prior year. So I probably saw an improvement there. I
yeah, a lot. Plus, I think he was leading his team too, which I liked a
think
lot.
so too. Yeah. And I'm happy that he made the team. Okay. So the next one, I'm laughing right now because I know I don't remember the poem, but because because I have an idea of what it could be about, just given that Arm was one of the performers.
Oh my God.
I wrote, I wrote, oh God, this poem is horrible. My ears are bleeding next to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My guess is
But,
probably something sexist
oh,
or
I actually know. Is it
unfunny.
is it is it is it a team poem?
It was a team poem.
Oh,
Yeah.
with him and Jason?
Yeah, with him and Jason.
The funny thing is, no wonder it didn't last. Seriously, because I don't even remember. Like, oh, about Jessica Alba?
Yeah, I was like, it was probably something sexist and not great. And it went over time. It did score 27.8, right? Which, okay, you get an idea of, okay, audience is kind of feeling a certain way.
Yeah, like,
I was gonna say, like, if it's like Arm and Jason, they're both like, they're both pretty powerful performers in the sense that they like to.
but if you think about it, the only way for them to catch us was to use a team poem because
Yeah, that's
they
true.
got, yeah, and then they did uh D Silence went up with member the Reverend Ain't That a Bitch?
Yes, I remember this poem. 6.6, 8.0, 8.6, 8.9, 9.5, 25.5. Oh, my commentary has to do with
Yeah. Mhm.
with some of the feelings I have about that poem. Reverend Ain't That a Bitch. Is that the one where it's like he had myrrh, right? Is that the
Yeah.
one that I'm remembering correctly?
Yes. Oh yeah, like
Right? The one, and
yes.
then
Yeah.
it's like message at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus baby mama daddy. Yeah, like
Yeah, I think maybe my commentary has to do with like, ooh, like I don't know.
Yeah,
I
because
think I think that the satire gets may I was thinking maybe the satire is getting lost in it.
there were times where D. Silence's poems reminded me of I know this, I was gonna say it too. It was, oh God, why is the name gone? It was God, oh, it's Spike Lee, Samian Glover, the tap dancer.
Bamboozled.
He reminds me of Bamboozled,
Yeah.
but there's no show. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? Because I think he's trying to make a message sometimes, but it's like, yeah, but you're
mm,
on Berkeley, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Hmm.
know you're smart, but that's not the character that you're portraying yourself on stage.
Yeah.
You're either this exaggerated person
Hmm.
or you're the Black Jeff Trenchard.
Yeah. Hmm.
Not to
Yeah.
diss anybody, but I mean, you remember it was like when he would like to, the Jeff thing, stick the hand in the pocket and like, because I
Uh-huh.
put my hand up. Yeah, I did it for a while. We all wanted to be Jeff. I can't say Jeff.
We all went through a phase, I think, where, it's like you see a performer, you're like, I like how they do that. Maybe I'll try doing that.
Like,
Um, but yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head kind of about that. Maybe it's like maybe I'm trying to do satire, but it's like the end of Bamboozled where nobody gets it
exactly. And
because
it's just kind of
like the
like, this is what
audience
it
is
is.
all white.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, um, that's so weird. It's just not transferred to my.
Okay. So coming into round two, we're going what from high are we going from high to low in this one? Round two. Okay. Just get on two.
Now it's
Okay,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
We are going from high to low because San Jose got the high. They went overtime. Did they get it? Was it a time penalty 9.3?
Anyway,
Okay.
so
Coming
this
in
is
round two, San Jose
round two.
starts
By the way, this is a 3x5
by 3 by 5. Round two. San Jose starts with
with
this
the
poem
cognitive
that
score.
I just could not stand. And I still remember it's like I remember this poem because I remember it like tearing its way into my memory. Okay, it's a poem about drunk sex.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember being like, hey, drunk sex is hot, and all about drunk sex, I guess. I mean, that's really the whole thing. Like to me, it's kind of a poem that I don't
The
know.
the person grew up and became a teacher and a kind of an okay person, but at the time, yeah, it's now that I'm older and now that you're older too, I think we can recognize some people are kind of insecure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of people in the slam community are insecure,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like part of the reason
Yes.
why we get on stage. We're like, yay, validation, right?
Yeah,
So we get
like
all this applause, and it's like, yay, validation. People like me. Yeah, I'm great. Um, so I mean, I don't think that that's uncommon. Um, as
but sometimes they don't realize the attention that they're getting isn't worth getting,
indeed.
you
Um,
know?
and I have some very I have some feelings, right, just about being a woman in the scene and the abuse that I went through. And we haven't really like talked a lot about
Yeah,
trauma that
dude.
trauma that happens in the scene. That's for a another time, but
Dude, because
it's a real
it's
thing.
fucked up.
And the amount of times that I was harassed or made to feel uncomfortable, so
Ooh,
by men
sis.
in the scene, abused by men in the scene, and so on. So and
And it's
completely, a lot of times, like kind of out of left field. I don't know if that's a sign of my naivete, but like things that I was like, oh, I'm being like a normal person, and then someone would like be like, "Ah," and you'd be like, so like
dude,
there
I
was
remember dude, back in I won't say it, KB, I'm just kicking it in this hotel room. Come by.
Dude.
Remember?
Yeah.
Dude, it's kind of like you oh, Popeyes is closed. I'm gonna
Yeah.
cry. But it's like, dude, how could you? And plus, man, it's
We
oh,
there's a lot. There's
we're
a
gonna
lot
go
there that we could go
this.
into. So to me, you know, and it's like
They're all
maybe
horrible
I'm
people.
like, you know, or I think, oh, I'm an artiste, you know, so something that I would consider fluff or pop, you know, is not going to resonate with me. But to me, I was very deeply
Yes.
offended. I personally was deeply offended by this poem. So I wrote no comment. It's women like this that ruin it for everybody. I'm disgusted. So that was
I
my
love that.
that was
I
my
love
visceral
that.
reaction to this. It also
No comment. This shit's whack.
shit's whack. And also
But what were the
did
scores?
not score well either. 23.0.
Oh, oh, oh,
So
oh,
yeah,
sixes.
was not well received either. So perhaps I'm not the only person who felt away about this poem. Sacramento, Ike Torres. Ike Torres.
Ike Jones.
Get money. I remember liking Ike. Seemed, you know, good enough. I didn't get money. Do you remember this poem, Lee?
No, but I remember they were strong that year because Supernova, um, who looks like what's a guy named Guy Torrey? He's a black comedian. He looks so much like him.
Mm.
Um,
I don't know great Tories.
uh, so like they is it Guy Torrey? Yeah, it's like um it's funny because I guess his parents come from Nigeria, and he was talking about his cousin's like, we want to go to America and visit you. And he goes, no, man, y'all would fuck up my game. Right. Yeah. And he goes, you know, there's like, and he said, so this is how they talk to women. He goes, woman, you come here. You see me looking at you. You come here now. He's like, dude, you fucking my game up. But what else did they have though? Because
Mm.
that's
We'll
when they
find out.
definitely
I'll have
so
to look at the next one to see
uh
if there are other
he had
person.
a lot of charisma, and
Yeah,
he
I remember him.
after I won King of the Mic in '06, he won it in, I believe, '07 or '08 or something.
Okay. Arcturus.
Yeah, you know, he got pretty big for a second there.
Yeah.
Um, but
So let's see.
after Sack, they sent up we can't say his name, but I like how Jesse described him as she said voice like a volcano, confidence of glass.
I mean, this particular poet, was this the year that he was like,
The Abu Ghraib one. It
yeah,
was very serious what I said
he was
because
like the thing, I think, that year, right? Every year there's
yeah,
like a guy who's like
there's a great white hope.
Great White
I
Hope
could say
thing.
it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
And this year it was this
definitely
particular
yes.
poet who was like the popular person that
And
year.
extremely white. We're talking,
Had a
we're
cool look about
talking.
him, though. I mean, it was
Yeah,
a
I mean, like he came out of Street Fire, but
yeah,
at the same time, they need to wear the Richie Cunningham cuff up pants. Where I'm like, oh wow, you just got out of Greece. Tell me more, tell me more.
he definitely had a grease
Uh-huh,
about him.
uh-huh.
I mean, it was like the style was cool, but he did like he did this poem, which is very serious. 25.0. Um,
Wait, I wonder what
this whole
she's doing now.
one.
It's the one in the background. Summer dreams. I
So
like when he goes there. Ah,
oh, oh no.
tell me more. Okay, we can go on. Tell me
Oh,
more.
Modesto.
Oh, oh.
Modesto
Yeah.
puts up Ruby, who
Ruby, I like Ruby.
is solid. Ruby
And what did she get?
is great. Ruby was
Oh,
on our
ouch,
straw
Ruby Fun.
team um,
Yes. And she
uh,
was nice. And we
here
picked her because we
for
liked her.
regionals. Ruby's great. She has I know this poem. I remember this poem about her mom. It's serious and it's very good.
You
Um,
know,
23.8 though, so
that
audience
was, but she went over time.
not feeling it. Did she go
Yeah,
overtime? No,
yeah, because,
232.
yeah.
No, this is
Oh,
232.
oh, okay, sorry. The next one goes over time. Oh, shit. That's us.
Next one is us. We had a bad time penalty. Okay, a higher raw score than Ruby, who went up right before. This particular poet we struggled with on the team because he had a really difficult time. Like I don't think he was a great fit for the team as far as the work kind of went, if that makes sense. I'm trying
Yeah, yes.
to say this in a tactful way.
Yes.
Um, as far because like
Caught you biting, kid.
what?
We caught you biting, kid.
Like he yeah, it's like he'll typically what we would do on the team, it's like we go through a poem, as a team, coaches edit it, we work on it, and then the writing improves, the performance improves over time. This poet struggled with those with changes to the poem, accepting changes to the poem, even if they were
Yes.
unanimously agreed upon. Kind of, if the team was like, well, because like that's the thing about having the team edit the poem, is the idea is if we all don't get it, then the likelihood that the audience isn't going to get it is pretty high.
I mean, that was our thing. It was you would come to practice with 5 copies of your poem. Everyone would get a copy. You'd pick somebody to read your poem, and then after your poem for 10 minutes, we'd talk about it, and you couldn't say anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, why? Because, it's really easy for somebody to go, oh, well, it's about this. Well, it's like this. And then, oh, now I can see it. No, no, no. You don't get that option. Why? Because you don't get that option with the audience members. So it's like, what do you think the average group of 5 people would think about this? Which is 5 judges, which it kind of worked because it's easier if you just hear it from me or just you, like, this sucks. Like, people get really kind of like, wow, yeah, yeah. But if everybody on your team's like, yo, what's with the midget? You know, it's kind of like, then, if you're a rational human being who wants to function in slam, which has 5 judges, at that point you're like, yeah, I think I gotta listen.
Yeah.
Like, because we've gone through with a bunch of people who are like, well, no, this is this, and I think the audience would feel this. It's like, you heard what we said after we heard it. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's not like we're not trying to understand it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's good feedback in the sense that, yeah, it's like if you what are you trying to get the audience to hear, feel or experience, right? Like what's the goal, of the poem.
Plus, what's the premise of your poem? And if I ask an audience member that after you read it, would they know? And
Hmm.
if they wouldn't, this is kind of like, then why hopefully you're a good performer. You're just jumping around.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and this poet also, as I recall, um was kind of a wild card when it came to time. Like in this case, right? He went over time, and
Dude, immense.
he could not go over time with this poem too, or he could. Or and in general, poems for him, they could go over time or not. Like there wasn't a consistency there, which is a scary thought, right? If you're on the
Well,
team,
plus,
you're like, we
plus,
get docked points if you go over time.
it's funny because I'm glad you remember that because, like, I think it was another world because I don't really remember. I just remember him just kind of smiling, going, just saying smart ass stuff all the time and like not being too difficult. Um, and I remember he had the giant jaws from James Bond boyfriend.
Hmm.
Remember, actually, he was more like Fezzik. He was like, what if Fezzik was
He was
bald?
like Fezzik, and he was
Um,
a sweetheart. Maybe maybe I remember the time because a lot of times I would do the time, you know.
Yeah.
So I would be the one like stressing, being like, cut, get, stop. I'd be the one being like, no.
Yeah, plus, it was
So
back to the
back,
slant.
yeah, back
You
to
just got
the
me
bow.
started, motherfuckers.
So okay, another thing about this poem,
Yes.
another thing about this poet was
Big
that
barbecue jumbo shrimp. You
motherfucker,
motherfucker!
God, that movie's so good.
Dude, he's so cool in that, dude.
I
Yes,
know
100%.
he's so cool.
Get the fuck out.
No, but we gotta go. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. The title of this poem that went over time was Peanut Brittle. Another thing about this poet was a lot of times he kind of did poetry that was like weird, but like didn't go far enough. And like that was something I remember we were like, if you're gonna
Yes.
go there, you really gotta go. Like
You
don't
really gotta
don't
go there.
don't pussyfoot through it.
Yeah,
Like if
don't
you're
fuck
gonna be
around.
weird, be
Be
really weird
really
with it.
weird. Don't fuck
And
around. Like,
and it was like I don't know if he had it like in him because he never quite went as weird as he could have gone because like that's my I'm like if you're gonna do it just like commit to it.
yeah, it's like you
um
can't just fuck a sheep. You've got to have the sheep's love child that comes out like an albino unicorn. Like, and starts a revolution. It's like you can't just like, yeah, maybe. And oh, the peanut brittle. Really? How do you get on the team? Do you
uh,
remember? It's
um
it's so
I don't know
sad.
what happened. I wrote that the poem was too slow, so don't forget to look at me. That was something that we also
Oh my
struggled with
God.
was connecting with the audience. um
Yes.
So I mean, this poet in particular, I think we struggled a lot with. He didn't end up staying with us to nationals. I think he ended up leaving for personal reasons later on in the summer.
But we put him at the most pivotal spot.
We did, yeah. Well, because he
And
wanted that spot, as I recall. He said, "Let me have that spot. I can hold that spot." Right?
did he?
I
Jesus.
think so. I think he was like really confident that he could hold this spot.
And I was being Mr. Humble because I didn't read.
Huh? I was gonna say, yeah, I don't think you read in this one. Um, okay, Oakland SF lucky, solid, 25.6. I think that's the highest score of the round. Yep. Yep.
Probably, and that was the last round too. And it's
No,
no
this is the second.
surprise.
This is round two.
Oh, really? Since who did we put last?
I don't know. We're about to find out. So
Wow.
yeah, so lucky, solid. She's very consistent. Um, very so let's look at the final
Can't
round
even.
then.
I hope I didn't go up because this is really good if I didn't go up. Why are you
Okay,
laughing?
I'm laughing because of my little note here, which says round three, we're fucked, is what I wrote. Okay, so round three, we're fucked. Here we go. So Sacramento Team Peace. What are you fighting for? I actually remember that poem
Yes.
because they said that a lot in the poem together and loud. Um, San Jose Jason Mayon, I put a little heart there, which means I probably really like this poem. Song Gunpowder, it says. 254, solid on time.
Oh,
3, solid.
um,
Hmm?
San Jose one?
I,
Did you say?
no, I said Jason went up for San Jose.
Oh yeah, the gunpowder. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Did you get the high score?
Mm, no. John Brown
He
got the
wow,
highest.
he went. Oh, that's another great white hype, great white hope.
Whatever
Remember, he was
happened
just
to him?
I have no idea. It's just like, oh, they're everything, and then they're gone. It was like, bye.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually what happens, right? They're like, "Yeah, you're the best," and then they're gone, right?
And exactly. And like I was wondering why did Jason try for San Jose? And then I remember.
Was
Yeah.
there a scuffle with another team he didn't make?
Well,
Might
Berkeley
be.
was that and the competition to make it on Berkeley was kind of high because they had John
Fun.
Brown, yeah, and like
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
So San Jose, it's kind of easy, and plus you had
You
your
had a
girl.
a boo thing. I I think one thing we yeah, oh
Let's
my gosh,
drunk
that
sex.
that's so gross. But to me it's like so on brand with San Jose. We're
Yes.
the
Oh
team
my
that
God.
fucks each other.
Yeah. You're like so on brand. Exactly.
It's so on brand. I think like for I remember like Palo Alto was like there's no fucking on Palo
No
Alto.
one fucks Balto.
There's
Like,
no fucking on
dude.
Team Palo Alto, period.
Yeah, dude.
Nobody's fucking anybody.
Dude, San Jose, they're like, hey, let's just go crazy. And what happens? That shit adds up on stage because
Blech. But
so
like
many, so many trysts and side affairs happened and like
barf.
yes, like and certain people, dude, like I won't mention any names, but we get a guest, so we can have them talk about it. But remember it was D
Uh-huh.
um had CD
Yeah.
was with I can say this one. I like this. This is like was with LCC.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so and
TV was with her.
but then something happened with I forgot who. I thought it was D though.
We
Um
get with TB at some
um
point.
it broke out at a Berkeley Bob.
Oh God.
You
Drama.
know, and they had some problems up there also, like, so
Moral of the
uh
story, don't fuck poets. Don't fuck with poets.
oh, remember then that's when after that nationals JB met the sister.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, yes. Well, now I can't forget because well, anyway.
Just pretty.
Anyway,
All right.
we'll go back to the
Yeah, okay.
question. Okay.
So John Brown, 3.39. So woo, woo, 27.6.
Yes, he was a hot shit
Show
though.
don't tell, I wrote.
Ah, nice. Because he was
uh,
probably like, yeah, probably just throwing a lot of metaphors your way that they would, after sprinkling the audience like they would. Yeah,
yeah, I was
no
gonna say
surprising.
show don't tell is what I wrote. That's probably my opinion. Okay, message 137. That's a short ass poem. I didn't write a commentary on it. Modesto, Jai, Ode to Pussy. Don't remember that one. 20.
Oh, that was the one girl who was really kind of
Mm-hmm.
poem about being on the very bottom.
Ah.
Sometimes being on the bottom is the best.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah. Yeah, sure, I remember
I don't remember anything. And then okay, what we did in the we came in we were the final poem. We did my poetry does this. My poetry does this. My poetry does that. My poetry does this.
Who did?
We did.
We had a poem like that?
Yeah. It was like a commentary, a poetry commentary.
Oh,
Remember we
with
were being very experimental
Kevin.
because remember we had
Yes,
yeah, my poetry does
I
this.
have
We also
pieces
had
of that.
yeah,
It
we
was like
had
with Kevin said my poet takes out his false teeth to give your mind blowjobs or something like that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh wow.
We were experimental because we
And
had that one and then we had like and it's a good idea. It's like
perfect.
I can't think of how to execute it efficiently and I still can't. Sometimes I lay awake at night and I think, God, how could we have done that poem? Because remember it was like a heckler poem.
Yes. Oh, that was good.
That's such
Oh,
a good idea, but it was so hard to execute because the people who you were making fun of would have to stop to hear the other people. Um,
exactly. I
so
think if we got it down, I think it would work better. Because remember, Kim was a heckler, which is
yeah, I was
really
gonna say
cool.
Kim. Oh, I gotta tell you. So I don't mean to put Kim on blast, but she was a great
Yes,
heckler.
that was so
We,
funny.
yeah, I was like, she and I would like. riff on lots of things, as I recall.
Yeah.
And like, and she could go in and be really hardcore and like, really like, "Wah." So
Yeah.
it was nice. It
I
it
love it.
brought out a side of me that I think, I don't
You were
know,
holding back for so long.
I needed. Well, that's probably why I wrote all this shit. Like, I was in
This
my
isn't art.
dark Phoenix era.
Your
Um,
Darth Phoenix era. I like that. It
um,
was I
but
think about that poem.
yeah, that heckler poem, like I said, I still think some, like, once in a while I'm like, God, that poem is such a good idea. How could we do that right? How could that be done right? Um,
Oh, you could now you could.
well,
Yes.
now we could because
Now we
the
could.
internet, but
Yeah, because
in
the
those
internet.
days, back in 2006, when there was no such thing as YouTube, um,
Those
that's a story for another time. Lee, remember a
trying to
long,
find that
long
poem.
time ago, we talked about doing poetry music videos. You remember this?
Yes. Yes.
We
That was a good
talked
idea.
about this in like 2002 or
Yes.
2003. We talked about it. We were like, what a good
Yeah.
idea. It's like music
And
videos
what
for
happened?
poetry. And what happens? YouTube.
And it's
And these
like,
poetry music videos happened.
um, oh, okay. I found part of it. You're right. It's in the year 2000, children's dreams are buried like landmines in the desert of perception. We read comic book Bibles, build Babel from Legos, but stand before you as poets. We have liberated enslaved dictionaries. $10 says they mention the Middle East. This is one, yeah.
This
And
shit's
make
funny.
and made sentences dance across stages. You're on. When everything but my words start to crumble around me. Israel, Palestine. Shit, sucker. What's the, because my poetry does this. For bonfires lit out of white picket fences by children sending smoke signals to child protective services. My family tree is nothing but a pot plant in the closet.
Man, this is a great poem. This is
He
good.
goes,
How
my
did this
my
not score higher?
he goes,
Uh,
my poetry rescues books out of burning buildings, gives CPRs to stanzas. My poetry provides prosthetic limbs for the rainforest, gives mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to fluffy baby seals. Ah, you know, I have a six-pack of baby seals, and I have a club when I get home. Dude, this is like wait. My poetry is hard as concrete. My word speaks for the streets. Yeah, your biggest fear is a drive-by ice cream truck.
Your biggest fear is a drive-by ice cream
Ice cream
truck.
truck. And my poetry is the makeup that covers up the Adam's apple atmosphere. Grow a penis and help us out. I feel like a hooker getting slapped in the face with a dick as we speak. It was the other one. It was like, tell me, poetry walks on water. Tell me your confessions, and I will make your words holy. Take your finger out the altar boy and step back. My poetry is revolution. Resist. Fourth time I've seen them in those clothes. Stop raging against the washing machine. Wow, that's actually
Oh
pretty. I
my
only
god.
have part of it.
It's like, oh, Lee, it's like I remember saying some of these things now.
Yeah.
Dude, that poem is
Yeah,
fucking
that's
funny.
clever.
That poem is so funny. We should resurrect it and just do it as a duo. Uh as like that's fucking funny. There's some really good lines in there too.
Yeah, this is
But
pretty,
I mean,
you
that's
know,
satire, right? Because a lot of it
yes,
is just like, yeah, like your poetry is doing so many great things, right?
exactly. You could do so many. It's gonna change the world, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like it's it it takes the air out of those big poems like Abu Ghraib. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like give us a story within the story, not based on how you're telling the story. Like it was interesting. That was actually kind of yeah, we changed it too. There was what's the one where you guys all did the poem and like when Kevin says taking out his false teeth?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe I dropped from the poem and he took up where I was.
Oh, yeah. Good. Is that why you're like, ah, screw this or something and you leave?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, I could see that. Okay.
Okay, we gotta
I
wrap it up. It's
I will
getting late.
say no. I mean, no. I was gonna say, okay. I will say this. Although we might have
Okay.
come in last place in this Bob, I feel like poetry wise, we really took a lot of risks. And
Dude, we did. We always do.
yeah, but I mean, I think that comparatively, just based on the poems that I remember that were in here, we were really like, woo, like way like doing our own thing.
Way, exactly.
Um,
Like
between Chris's poem and Kim's poem and this poem, right? Like they were all like radically different.
totally different. Like, and like um even in 2004, when remember Mike said on the mic, he hosted that Bob. He's like, um, Palo Alto came up with the most different poems. Because remember we did a uh poetry points, purpose points,
Purpose. Points. Purpose.
purpose. Da 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 da. We
Yeah.
practiced
Wait,
that
Lee.
so
Yeah, I was
much.
gonna say, Lee, do you wanna tell the audience a little bit about that poem? That was like kind of
That was pretty.
coming out
That dude, that was you know.
our our unique style. It was a poem. It was a commentary poem about kind of there were like two factions in the base scene.
Yes.
There was a faction of people who were like, I'm a writer and I write really well,
Yes,
and like
fantastic. That was
I'm
great.
an artiste writer. And then there's like another faction of people who are like, I'm a performer and I'm jumping around and doing crazy
Yeah,
things.
doing something.
I'm really saying shit. So we kind of had these
Yeah.
two kind of things like, are you a performer, right? Or are you a
Or a poem.
writer, right? And so
You
we
down
did,
for the poetry or the points?
yeah, poetry, point.
Points.
Um,
Poetry. Points.
so we
Purpose. Points.
purpose, point.
Purpose.
We made in
Da, da,
2004, we
da,
made
da.
a team poem that was like loosely based on West Side Story, and
Yeah.
it was, or Romeo and
That was actually
Juliet,
pretty
where it
dope.
was like, are you a writer or are you a performer? And so we kind
That
of
was
picked our
pretty
sides, and then KT and I fell in love, and that was like,
that was pretty cool.
and that
Like
and that represented slam poetry, mixing the two.
which was, if you think about it, yeah,
It was a
we were
play.
definitely different. Yes, it was a play that we were able to put off in 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah,
And everybody was in it, even Nate. Remember at the end?
it was the narrator.
Abominable, you
Abominable.
know? Like, oh man. So in this year we did a heckler in the audience. I mean,
Yes. God. The heckler was, oh, it's such
oh
a
man, we
good
love that.
idea because, and here's why. It's kind of mean, but it happens. If you're on stage,
Yes.
somebody is in
We've
that
been booed before
audience.
by the best.
I was gonna say, some if you're on stage, another poet from another team is talking shit.
Mad shit about
It's
you.
talking mad shit about you.
Dude.
um, so just FYI to anybody who is performing on a national level.
Yeah, and who thinks like, oh, this could be really nice. No, no.
Yeah. So I
Someone
mean,
talking about
also
shit.
in the Bay, it was a huge shit talking scene. Everybody was talking shit. We got booed on stage. People.
Dude, like,
Um.
and but and here's the sad thing about it, and I hope this is in California style, but it's like instead of just beating the poem, they would like after a while just attack the person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you're just kind of like, why would you do that? Like, why is that so, you know what I mean? Like, um, that's not how you win.
Yeah.
Like, hmm. And I want to go into it because we're running out of time, but like the whole thing with your poem, I honestly think that that was somebody using that to um either discredit or weaken the poem. I'll say this, I want to end with this. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was talking to LeBron James, supposed to be the best right now, and he said when because rules have changed in basketball a great deal. So you can't foul those people as much. It's pretty but he said when I was playing, they enacted rules to hamper me from getting better.
Mm.
Now that you're playing, they're taking down rules to make it easier for you to get better. Because it's like, dude, before slam dunks were previously they were illegal. Why? Because only Kareem can do them. So
Huh.
they made it into a rule, right? Right. So instead they added 3 points. So like white boys can get something, right? And it's kind of like you made rules. So, but this motherfucker still excelled. So I think Slam is kind of the same way because they kept on trying to like, you can't do this, or if I were you, I would do this, or yada yada yada. No
Well, a
one,
lot of opinions.
yeah, and no one ever wanted to say, hey, you guys are doing really well until we were out of our area because then we're a competitor for that day. You
Yeah.
might see me at nationals, but now we can actually, you guys are awesome. As opposed to here, man, we never heard that. They were like, well, they did okay. Well, they did this. I'm like, it's a bob, so we're practicing. And B, we're practicing. Remember that one bob we did all team pieces and people didn't even have them yet?
Yes.
Dude, like, do you get any props? No, it's only years later when people are seeing our names written on the walls in Germany, in Substance, in Munich, going, "Oh wow, yeah, years ago we wrote that."
It's still there. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
to this. Who
like
was it? Was that Dan? Was that Dan?
Dan
Dan
and
and Tim?
yes,
Dan and Tim
you
were like,
know,
holy shit.
and like, dude,
I was in Munich.
okay,
Okay.
now you give me something deep to think about. Okay, love you, kiddo.
Love you. Bye.
Bye bye.